Welcome to installment number 312 of the Mitzvahs as enumerated by Maimonides, the Rambam. Today we are concluding our conversation of positive commandment number 248, where we have been discussing the laws of inheritance. And as we've said, we actually learned this entire section of the Torah from a group of women, the daughters of Tzlafchad, whose father left no son as heir to his inheritance, and they too had a fierce love for the land of Israel and really wanted to inherit a piece of land. And they came to Moshe with a complaint saying that they too should receive a portion. And in fact, their request was acquiesced. So very interestingly, we learned this entire portion from a group of women. There was a beautiful story that I wanted to share with you on this subject of a widow and orphans who came to their local rabbi with a complaint. There was a very fierce debate between them. Apparently the husband, the father, had died, and what was left was the home that they lived on a big estate. The widow claimed that this belonged to her, that this was the way she could support herself, while the orphans claimed that it belonged to them. They turned to the rabbi to help them with this argument. Sure enough, the rabbi ruled that the property belonged to the orphans. The widow was left extremely bitter and very upset. And so she decided to go to this rabbi's Rebbe who lived the next town over. And in fact, she did. She went there and told him the story, and she was so bitter and she was so crushed and she was just so broken over over this decision. And the Rebbe said, go and tell the rabbi that he should better look into the law of what the law states, and go from there. And that's what she did. She goes back to the local rabbi and she tells him, I went and I spoke to your Rebbe, and this is what your Rebbe said. He said that you should look into the law. And in fact, he looked into the law and he saw that indeed there was something that he had misjudged. And in fact, it did belong to the widow. A little while later, the rabbi and the Rebbe were together and they were discussing this case. And the Rebbe said, I want you to know there was no prophecy involved here. There was no way that I actually knew that you had mishandled this case. All I knew is that all the laws in the Torah are just, darchei noyam, darchei shalom. They are peaceful and they are just. And I saw from this woman's reaction, from the way that she was so devastated about this, that this ruling was not peaceful, and this ruling was not accomplishing what it was meant to, because when a ruling is made according to Torah, then it's able to be accepted. But the fact that this woman was unable to accept it and the way that she was so devastated about it showed me that there must have been something wrong. And I really appreciate this story because I love this concept that yes, all the rulings of the Torah are darchei noyam v'darchei shalom. It's all about creating peace and harmony among people. And this is the beauty of the Torah and the gift that we have of this guidebook in our lives that truly is a light, not just for us, but for all nations of the world. Have a wonderful day.